gonna just go for the chat. I go back on time.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for coming. We're super excited to be doing this. We've been working in secret in our secret basement for the past 2 months to make this happen. And so that's...
Hi everyone, I'm Brenna McNally. I'm a master's candidate in the TIE program, and I currently work as a product manager for Pearson.
Hi everybody, my name is Cici. I'm from China. I'm currently at Specialized Studies program. I work in Silicon Valley with the school and a couple of nonprofits and for-profits previously. Now in the SSG program.
Yeah, and I'm Dominic. I founded this edtech startup, and I'm super excited about going to Silicon Valley with you. Okay, so quickly agenda. We're going to speak about what this track is about, the kind of organizations that we're going to visit. Most of them have confirmed. Some of them we need some more time or some introductions so you can actually help. Then when's the track? Where do you have to sign up? All these logistical details. How can you take part? Can all of you take part? How does that all work? And then the money question, right? How much is it going to cost? And then at the end, we've actually collected a couple of FAQs that came out of the Google Sheet that you all filled out, or most of you filled out. We're going to go through those. If you have questions after that, we'll answer them. Okay, just keep it in mind that I think we'll answer a lot of questions that have come up to this point. All right, so what is the HIVE Silicon Valley track? It's an organized trip to San Francisco and Mountain View and maybe Palo Alto. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
I'm not the geography person. We're going to take 20 students. In the past, that trip has been larger. The reason we're not taking more than that is because most companies cap it at 20, and we want a collective group experience. We don't want to organize several tracks within that trip. So it's 20 students plus us 3. We're going to visit a whole range of organizations. We're going to visit schools. We're going to visit technology companies, most of them edtech, some of them not edtech, but with an edtech twist. I'm going to get into that. Some NGOs, some VCs, foundations. So we try to cover a whole range, and we listen to the feedback that we got. So we have a lot of companies that were actually suggested to us. We try to frame the program around that. We'll be going during spring break next year, so it's March. We're going to speak about dates more specifically. And the idea is basically that we will network, we'll learn, we'll talk to HGZ alums, we'll drop a resume book. Everybody who goes has the possibility to submit a resume. We'll drop that. So that could be a good step if you want to get a job with any of those companies.
One of the contact person we've got with one of the companies is actually part of the Silicon Valley track team in 2015, and she successfully got into this edtech company that we're going to talk about later.
So I'm just going to speak about the organizations, and then Sis is going to take over with the logistics. So we'll be visiting edtech companies. I've found this beautiful network symbol that you find next to the logos of the companies we don't have intros to yet. So this is Edmodo. If anyone knows anyone at Edmodo, let us know, because we haven't really reached anyone there. So Coursera, Clever, right? Edmodo, Tinker, and Quizlet, that's going to be our edtech companies that we're going to visit. And then we're going to speak to Airbnb. Sounds a little weird, but we're going to speak to the Airbnb Data University section. So we'll tour their campus and speak to the person who manages the public data set that they give out. And we'll be speaking to Google, MJ Mata, a TIE graduate, Forbes 30 under 30, amazing person in edtech. She's going to give us a private tour. VCs, we're going to speak to New Schools Venture Fund. They've invested an incredible amount of money into edtech, and we still need to find somebody at Chan Zuckerberg. If anyone knows anyone, let us know. Almost done. Alt School, we just got an intro, so that symbol could disappear. And then what was the other one? Minerva. Minerva is a university, right? An online university, founded actually by a former Harvard College dean. And then, some various organizations. Most of you have probably heard of EdSearch. It's the big news portal in edtech. the D School at Stanford Singularity University, which is sort of an incubator, foundation sort of thing, and the Nancy Street Foundation. All right.
Yeah. So how are we gonna spread out this various organizations? We're gonna spend 4 days in Silicon Valley from March 12th to the 15th. As you can see, the yellow blocks are education technology companies, and blues are foundations. Actually, New School Venture Fund is one of the foundations. And we have happy hours, networking events, dinners with alumni as night events after a whole day's visit. And how are we gonna get this started? We will release the application actually right now from this moment for a week until next Wednesday. So next Wednesday would be the deadline, and we will release the application decision by Tuesday, the week after that, November 28th, and we'll leave you a week by December 4th to require either your proof of your flight plus 50 down payment, or if you don't want to purchase your flight yet, you can give 150 down payment, and another 100 will be given back to you once you purchase your flight. So what's the deadline for purchasing flights? That will be Monday, December 11th, just to leave you a little bit extra time to actually get flights done. The presentation will be online in our Facebook event page, so don't worry. And how can you take part in this? Just remember a few key deadlines. So next Wednesday, this time, will be the deadline for the application, and we will ask you to provide a brief. Don't worry about this because all of these are going to be in the application. So a brief statement of interest about yourself, your accommodation preference, and your commitment document at least to document at least one event during or after the trip. And then we'll also ask you about your confident level of actually participating in the event itself. We don't want you to commit into the whole thing right now, like 3 months before it actually starts, but just want to get to know a little bit how confident you are in actually going. Yeah, so how much it costs? A lot of people have asked this. We don't actually charge anything for profit for HIVE, so the only thing you will be spending is first your flights. So I just checked yesterday, if you book flights right now, it will be around $300, $400 round trip. Accommodations will provide several options for you. If you want to go stay with your friends or family members there or couch surfing, you can go for that. We'll also organize Airbnb group as a collective group experience with a low cost. And remember that $50 down payment that also covers part of the local transport. We'll use Uber to get around. If necessary, there will be a local bus to take us around places. Food, drink, and play. So accommodation, flights, and also food and drink are on your own. Although we actually are trying to find people and companies to sponsor us in happy hours, but just keep that in mind that everything will be on our own, but we don't charge extra stuff. Yeah, so what's next step? Keep in mind, again, this deadline of application is next Wednesday, and you will find the application link on our Facebook event as well. But if you want to remember it now, it's bit.ly Silicon Valley application, super easy. And then we'll inform you whether you are admitted or waitlisted by the first day of December. So how does waitlist work is people who are admitted, if they don't submit the down payment or flight improvement before the given deadline, they will be out of the admitted list, and people on the waiting list will be in. We'll inform you by that time. Questions? Actually, questions.
So we have some FAQs, so hopefully we'll touch on your question. Otherwise, we can come back to it. So for the FAQs, why are we only taking 20 participants? As Dominic mentioned, some of the companies have caps on how many people they're able to take for their info sessions. Participants will be determined based on the application process. 10 of those 20 spots will go to HGSE students. The other 10 will be open to anyone across Harvard. prior experience in education or tech is not going to give you an upper hand experience. We really want to make it equitable and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to attend. And if you're on the wait list, you'll know by the end of the term whether or not you'll be given a spot based on other people's commitment.
Okay. You want to take a question?
Oh, sorry. Do you have any questions specifically on the application process at this point?
I still don't understand what's the application criteria. Like, so how are you all selecting? What does the team look like? Tell me something about it.
Yeah, so 10 will be HGSC students, 10 are Harvard in general. Then the application itself is going to ask questions about why you're interested in attending, what you're hoping to get out of it, how confident you are about going, so we can kind of gauge whether or not.
What's the rubric? I mean, like, I don't listen, I'm still missing something.
So in terms of the rubric, we're really just looking to have a very diverse group of people who are interested in ed tech. So we don't have a hard and fast rubric at this point. We're kind of working on that right now. If it would be desired, we can put out a rubric prior to the actual decision process so that people can kind of have an idea of what we're looking for to kind of clarify that.
So we really want this track to be as helpful as possible to the participants, not just a happy trip to Silicon Valley. So make sure to mention in the application that this is what I'm going for and this is what I want to do, why this trip is going to be helpful.
Yeah, and I think a rubric's a really good idea. So we'll work on putting that together, put that out next week.
Yeah. We discussed this before. We want to make it as transparent, as fair as possible. We do take some level of discretion. If somebody makes like 3 contacts to companies that we really want to go to, then we take the discretion of but we want to make it as fair and transparent. So it's a good idea. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question. You mentioned that 10 is going to be reserved for Huxley student and 10 for Harvard-wide. Does that mean if there are like 30 Huxley Sorry. Are you okay? Cool. Does that mean that if there were 30 Huxley students, you would still only take 10 and Huxley students don't take priority despite it being a Huxley event?
So is your question if there... So 10 are guaranteed for Huxley students, the other 10 are Harvard-wide. That does not mean that there can only be 10 Huxley students. It's just that we want to ensure that at least 10 Huxley students of the 20 are allowed to go. And we do recognize that this is a HIVE event, so we want to ensure that Huxley and HIVE students have the opportunity to attend.
Cool.
Question?
Yeah.
In one of the earlier slides, I think one of yours, Doms, you highlighted, that this is a job search opportunity or bring your resume. Are you also thinking it's also for entrepreneurs who want to make these connections or be better informed about these companies?
Yeah, so we have that in the FAQ, but I'll touch
Oh,
on it.
okay.
No,
Sorry.
I'll answer it now. So this is an opportunity. We will put together a resume book to provide to the companies. We don't want to guarantee that you'll have the opportunity to pitch your startup or to have one-on-one personal time with the speakers to really advocate for yourself as an employee. We'd like to facilitate as much informal conversation and networking for people as possible, but it varies depending on the company. So while there'll be a resume book given to every company, it'll vary depending on who we're talking to, whether or not you'll have the opportunity to one-on-one converse with them about your startup or your venture or your ideas.
Thanks.
In terms of accommodation, yes, you can definitely stay with friends for the entire length of the trip. We will facilitate an Airbnb for people to kind of lower the cost of everyone having to pay for their own hotel or their own Airbnb. Our preference is that if you're going to stay at the Airbnb, you stay at it the entire time, just so that then the price is evenly distributed among people and we don't have to kind of awkwardly change price ranges each night depending on who's staying. If you have any personal questions once you're accepted into the trip about accommodation or concerns, we can definitely speak with you one-on-one. If maybe you do need accommodation one night, we'll adjust that on like a one-off situation. And then when we announce who's been accepted into the trek, then we'll announce the accommodation costs as well. So prior to accepting the down payment from you, we'll provide information about where the Airbnb will be and how much that'll cost, so that you know up front before you put any down payment down what the accommodation cost will look like. Does anyone have any questions about accommodation at this point?
I was just thinking of the range of companies that you mentioned, and I don't know the geography of where they're located. So do you have any thoughts, and maybe this would be part of your future communications, about if people are making their own accommodations, what part of the city they should be in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've tried to make it so that we're visiting, and we are in fact visiting Mountain View all in one day, Palo Alto all in one day, and then San Francisco in 2 days. So our recommendation is if you're doing your own booking to stay in San Francisco proper, as the majority of the companies will be in San Francisco, and then we'll be facilitating group transportation out of San Francisco to Palo Alto and back, and to Mountain View and back. So the $50 payment that you pay at the beginning will be pooled together and create a unique Uber code that we'll use to then crowdsource the funding for the Uber trip so that everyone's paying the same amount. And so just for ease of transport and funding, we would recommend staying in San Francisco. Where in San Francisco, I'm not entirely positive yet. It's really going to be cost driven. So I'll definitely let you know where exactly in the city we're staying.
Great, thanks.
And I think, I don't know if you mentioned this, but we checked Airbnbs, and at this point, there's like 10 of us staying in an Airbnb. The price is about $50 per night, which is, I think, for San Francisco, pretty affordable.
Yeah. So in terms of the program, for deciding which organizations we're visiting, we sent out a survey at the beginning of the semester and really took into consideration the feedback from people about what companies they wanted to see, ensured that they were in San Francisco, and then also tried to have a really good blend of early stage startups, more developed startups, funders, unique school models, and all of the above, so that everyone can kind of get out of it what they want to get, so that you can really see kind of what the ecosystem in general looks like in San Francisco. Within those organizations, who we're talking to will vary depending on the organization, but we've really ensured it's somebody who's sort of high up in the company and has decision power within the education arm. So for the startups, we'll mainly be talking to founders, CEOs. For Airbnb, for example, we're specifically talking to Data University. If there's a Hugsy alum working at the company, we're really working to have them be in the room as well, so that you can talk to them about their career trajectory and kind of how they got into where they're at right now. And then going back to Susan's question, we'll have their resume books so that the companies have them in advance and kind of tailor their conversations with us to the attendees, but also so that then you sort of like have that intro to those companies for networking and future job opportunities. And it's at some of the more informal events like happy hours or conversations, and that's a really great opportunity to build up your network personally in terms of your venture, your startup. So we're hoping to facilitate that, but we do want to make sure we're transparent that you're not guaranteed to have the opportunity to have like a one-on-one elevator pitch with each company. Does anyone have, this is the last slide, so yeah, I think so. Double check me on that. But does anyone have any questions in general just about the track that we can address?
Quick question. So about, let's say, so you said go by the deadline. Let's say, for example, I bought my flight ticket in advance and I paid the fee, but I get waitlisted. Like, how does that work with people, even if you've already bought your flight in advance with this in mind, and then you still get waitlisted? How does that work out?
So, and if you could pull up the slide with the dates on it, the way that we're envisioning it is that so the due date is November 22nd for the application, and we'll be spending some fun time over Thanksgiving break reviewing all of the applications so that you have the decision before December 1st for whether or not you're waitlisted or you're in to it, and then the 20 people who are selected for the trek would need to make the down payment. The waitlisted people would not have to, and so if the people who are selected for the trek don't make the down payment, decide they're not able to go, or really kind of like wishy-washy, evasive, then at that point we would take the next person on the wait list and extend them the opportunity to attend, and then require the down payment from them. So nobody will be required to give down payment on the wait list unless you're accepted to go on the trek, so that you don't spend any money on flights or down payment in advance without already being guaranteed that you're attending. Good question. Anybody else? Yeah.
Will the group going? Will there be a couple meetings before the trip to get to know each other as a group and sort of plan?
Yeah. So we're going to create a Facebook group who are attending so that people can get to know each other. Probably have a couple conversations or like informational sessions prior to the trip, so that you know who you're going with. You can start kind of expanding your network even just at Hugsy within the EdTech community. And then we're really trying to make this a very cohesive like group trip and not just like individuals all who happen to be in San Francisco. We really want to encourage you to potentially stay at the Airbnb, to attend the happy hours and things like that, so that we're all kind of moving together and like experiencing the trek together.
I have a question. Are you looking? I mean, you covered it a little bit, but are you looking for like an entrepreneurial like profile? Because for instance, I'm interested in research, and I would go to these companies from a research perspective because I would potentially like to do their research. But I don't know if that's definitely not the purpose of the trip or the kind of profiles that you're looking for. I don't have that very clear in my mind.
I mean, I know that must be a bit frustrating because it's hard to put a name, right? Because like we're kind of being wishy-washy about it. The thing is, we would love to take everybody, right? It's not possible because we have a cap, so we have to make the decision somehow. So one of the things that will definitely flow in is do you really want to go, right? That's why we asked this question. We have no idea if like 20 people apply or 40 people apply, right? But we kind of assume people will be fair and will be. If you really want to go, then tell us. I think HIVE is a great example that diverse teams are a great asset, and so we'll try to have that, right? That's why we take other schools, and that's why we. So I understand that it's kind of a bit another meeting. A bit frustrating that we can't give like a clear-cut answer to that, but we'll definitely try to keep everyone's preferences in mind and hopefully be as inclusive as possible with that.
Yeah, so it's not that you're looking for like, again, you're not looking for like an entrepreneurial like I don't know, I want to work in a company like a management part or whatever. You're not looking for, that's what I'm saying, you're not looking for that. You're just looking for diverse profiles that want to really go to.
As long as you can make a sense of your purpose. It's just like when you get into Harvard, people don't really expect you to go into research or entrepreneurship stuff.
You just want to go there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I guess like one thing we also should mention, like now like it looks like we're these like three people like looking at who we're gonna take, right? It's a student organized thing, like as I said, like we would love to take everybody, and we'll try to accommodate as many wishes preferences possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Are there going to be other trips by any chance to various locations? Because I recall maybe last year they had one to New York as well, and maybe that will be another opportunity for other Hugsy students to attend if they happen to not make it onto this one.
That's a great question. So HIVE is not facilitating, to my knowledge, the New York trip, but I do know that the career services, along with a couple HGSE students, are planning a trip to New York and to DC during spring break, with the intention of looking at ed tech companies in that area. So I don't actually have as much information about that, but I do know that is happening during spring break as well. And I believe there's another track occurring during the J term. That's technology, Silicon Valley track actually. That's technology oriented. That's being put on by HKS. That's not education specific, just technology in general. So biotech, edtech, fintech. So if you are just broadly interested in technology and happen to be free during January, that's another option that's on my radar.
Cool.
Anyone else?
Subscribe HIVE newsletter. They will recommend.
Yeah, and we'll be posting a link to the slides as well as the application in the Facebook group. So if you're not already in the Facebook group, definitely check that out. And then we'll work up together that rubric as well, so you're not blindly filling out the application. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. We're
Thank
really
you so
looking
much.
forward to it.
Want to show the link to the application?
Yeah, it's right there. It was on.
No, that was the application, not the presentation.
Okay, sorry.
After this one.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, can we get the team inside?
We forgot to mention this. So if you want to go to this link, we'll post it in the Facebook group. But if you want to note it down right now, that's.